Yeah, I did. Okay, good. Hey, my Legion, how y'all doing today? I wanted to do a video. I saw something from Pink Slip about national restaurants chains that closed or went under. And I want to do my own personal history with these places, because I was talking about Ruby Tuesdays. I did a video from there, and they said Ruby Tuesdays closed down a lot of places. And I know my friend John said, yeah, they might be closing down sooner on Erie, so I wanted to, do a video from there. I used to love it in the 90s, and I was really disappointed. I didn't hate it, but I was very disappointed with what happened when I went there last Saturday. So I made a list of, in no particular order, of places I went to, because I was born in 1968, December 29th, 1968, and a lot of these places I have very fond memories of from the 70s and 80s, and some from the 90s too, but not a lot. Now some of these places definitely closed down where I'm at. Now some places might be around, or they said some places had a resurgence. They were gone for a while, and then some places are popping up gradually in the United States. We probably won't get any of these places back, but some of these places, or some places, are still popular in outside the U.S. and other countries. Like that one donut place I'm going to mention is popular in Japan, but not here anymore. So I'm going to go through this list, and I'll tell you my personal experiences with it. But like I said, no particular order. The first one is Ponderosa. I remember Ponderosa vividly as a kid. As far as steak places go, there was only a handful of places we ever went to. Did I write? Okay, I wrote that one down. In the 80s, and that was one of them. And they had a great soup and salad bar and stuff like that. You could get like the soup and salad bar with your meal. I can't remember how much it was, but when we always went there, we always got like the sirloin. I personally got the sirloin tips because I loved them. And there was one location in Meadville. We drove past it when we went to Meadville to see the Thor movie, and we went to Boot Box. We actually drove past that location. I remember going. It was really weird. It's like off this one little road, like looked like a big mountain type thing in Meadville. I remember going there a lot, and then they had a Ponderosa outside the Mill Creek Mall. And I think that was up until, I don't know when it exactly closed or anything like that, but I remember going there way up until 2000, 2001, I think. It's been a while. I mean, but I always loved Ponderosa. But like I said, I don't know when it closed down or anything like that, but that was a favorite of mine. Ponderosa was really good. I had fond memories of that. I remember I used to listen to getting a Walkman, and one memory I have, I don't know why, they had a show called Rockin' America. And there was a band that did a song called Get On the Road to Rock. I remember I used to listen to the Walkman in the car. And I remember let's Get On the Road to Rock, going to that the Ponderosa Mead. I don't know why that memory sticks in my head, but it does. But I had some fond memories of that place in the 80s. I really liked it. I don't know if I ever went there in the 70s, but I mean, it's kind of, the timeline's always fuzzy, but it was usually in the 70s and 80s I went to these places. Yeah, so I had fond memories of that place. Too bad it closed down. Next is LB's Big Boy. And this was a great place. Now, I remember this place in the 70s. Now, I remember going to a location they had in Meadville and one in Erie. And then I remember going to one, going to it in the late 90s and getting something that was like a Big Mac that I liked, but I don't know, it wasn't quite the same. I think that might have been the last time, maybe 98, 99. I probably went, I don't know the exact date, that year, but I mean, it's been a while. Now, I remember as a kid loving to go there because as they used to have like a thing like this green, for kids, they had like this, it was cool, it was like a green little TV guide, like an 8-page TV guide. I remember this in the house in Albion. Show you how long ago this was, because we moved up to Cranesville in either 75 or 76, so it was a long time ago. And they used to have like this TV guide. It was green, at 4-page, 8-page. It had like games and stuff in it. And it also had like a TV guide to Saturday morning cartoons. And that's when they used to have, there's something on YouTube, Avery Schreiber used to host a lineup of Saturday morning shows. This is back in the days when things were still fun. Now, of course, they got rid of Saturday morning's cartoons in 2000 something, which is a real bummer. You know what I mean? And they said that the CW was the last holdout, but at least they were still on there for 2008 maybe, or 2009, or maybe even later than that. Because I remember they had Saturday Morning Slam, that wrestling show, but it only lasted 1 year. And this is back when I used to watch WWE, which I don't watch anymore. But I remember loving that thing as a kid. I loved going there. I think I bugged my parents enough. We went there usually once every week, a long time ago. But I loved Elby's Big Boy. I mean, the last time in the 90s, I was a little disappointed, but I still liked it. And I love that iconic statue out there with the kid holding the hamburger. And they had something on Unwrapped or some show about those being collectible, highly collectible items. I can just imagine, you know, pretty cool. Next is Chi-Chi's. I know of Chi-Chi's somewhat from my time in Fort Detrick, Maryland. I was there for a few months, and usually for lunch, sometimes, you know, we had some people in this. I worked messages you know, and it was like, you know, you always had to have two men integrity in there. You know what I mean? That we might have an extra person. Sometimes they would go and get something to eat. They said, "Have you ever been to Chi-Chi's before?" No. And then they'd buy me some stuff for Chi-Chi's. I think I got stuff from there once or twice. I really liked it, though. And they were saying how good the fried ice cream was. I didn't get it because, of course, it would have melted by the time I got there. But, or maybe I did get it. I might have gotten fried ice cream before. I liked it, though. I might have gotten it. Last time, I mean, I usually haven't had fried ice cream that much. Last time I had it was, I did an old-fashioned day video back in 2011 that I put on my channel. And they had, like, the girl was serving, like, this fried ice cream that they had with toppings and stuff. I don't know what happened to old-fashioned days. I don't think they have it anymore. It kind of went to someone else who was really good at running it, didn't run it anymore, and the other person ran it, and there was like a handful of people there and stuff. It just wasn't the same thing. But it used to be really a big thing there. It was cool. I wish I would have done more stuff with food reviews there at Old Fashioned Days in 2013. Last year, that lady ran it from Marquette. I should have went there, and they had a food truck Tasty Twist, to my knowledge. I should have done a review from there. That would have been cool. But, I mean, after that, I did a couple of reviews from Joe's Average Sausage or something like that, which is kind of cool, too. I think that's what it was called on my channel. But I like Chi-Chi's. I mean, I only got stuff from there like twice. I don't know if we had one in Erie or not. But this was in Fort Detrick, Maryland. Then they went out of business. Ground Round. Ground Round was awesome. I've only been there a handful of times. Right across from the Mill Creek Mall. And I had fond memories. I remember the very first time going there. And they had a thing where they had peanuts and you could throw the shells on the floor and stuff like that. And I remember they were showing silent movies, and I remember they had a Little Rascals one I'm watching. And I remember eating. This was myself, my mom, dad, and sister back when my mom and dad were married. And of course, my mom hated the movies. I hate this stuff. And then they were playing Laurel and Hardy thing. I wanted to watch the whole thing. It's time to go. I want to watch the rest of the movie. Are you seen enough? Let's go. I like Laurel and Hardy. I know in the Army. Boy, people hated that stuff. I mean, because I used to rent like Three Stooges and Marx Brothers and stuff like that. The kids. I was 21 at the time. Some of the other kids were like 20, 19. They hated Laurel and Hardy. They hated the old black and white stuff. It's really weird. I always had an endearment for that stuff. It's just like there was a disconnect, even in my own age group. I remember the video from Rat, that Round and Round. I remember on VH1, I was shocked by this. They said there was a disconnect from the young and the older crowd. They didn't know who the old guy was in the video for Rat, and that was Milton Berle. I thought that was obvious. And like they had like interviews with like Scott Ian and stuff like that, saying like, who the heck's this old guy in this video? No one knew. I knew who that was. I thought that was pretty evident. It was Milton Berle. But oh well. But they had really good food and stuff. I remember the last time going there, I got home from Germany, and it was really weird. My dad was taking me all this place drinking beer, and I was getting kind of drunk. It was really weird. I never had to say getting drunk with my dad before. That was very strange. We went to Ground Round. The food was fantastic. They didn't have the movies there at the time, but I still liked it. I love that place. I've only been there, I think, twice, and of course that place went out of business. Because I saw that on Pink Slip. I didn't know Ground Round was a national chain. And also in the video they talked about Bennigan's. I've always heard about Bennigan's for like South Park and stuff like that. And from I've never been to a Bennigan's before, so we never went there. Kenny Rogers Roasters. I'd never been to Kenny Rogers Roasters, but we had one in Erie. I remember coming out of and maybe in Fort Bragg, and then for a while later, my dad said he went there once. He really liked it. I know Gary Dorr, one relative, said he loved it there. The only thing I really know about that show, he was very Kenny. I never had the chicken. I always wanted to try it, but I never had it. And they were like direct competition for KFC, at least in Erie. And he was on a talk show. This is one I remember because I know the place went under. It might be around some other places though. But what I remember, he was on a talk show. Was it Oprah or something like that, saying that he's so confident about his chicken, he could be blindfolded and try and taste, tell the difference between his chicken and KFC. And he ended up picking KFC. So that was kind of a death blow to his company, though. They didn't mention that in the Pink Slip. I'm surprised. But I've never been to Kenny Rogers Roasters, but I wanted to mention it because we had one in our area, and I do remember it. We also had a Boston Market. I've never been to Boston Market before. I mean, the Boston Market's still around, but I mean, it went out of business. I think it became Olive Garden or something like that. I've never been to Boston Market. I had some of the frozen food entrees, which are okay. But from what I've seen from other food reviews, it's pretty expensive. But I've never been to Boston Markets before, and they don't have one anymore in my area. But that's not a chain that went out of business. I thought I'd just mention it because I was thinking about it. Next is Bonanza. And as a kid, it's like a buffet type thing. And they had these meals. I remember in Erie, just some memories of going down this big hill and going down to one place. As a kid, I remember that, I loved the corn on the cob they had. You got like a piece of corn on the cob. I can't remember if it was a direct kids meal that was all you can eat or something. I can't remember, but it was a buffet place. But I did like the show. I don't know if it was named after the TV show Bonanza, which was, I don't know if it still aired at the time. It might have. It better not be Nielsen. Hold on. Ow. I don't know who that is. Well, anyways.
Hello. Please leave a message after the tone. Hello? Hello?
I don't know who the hell that guy is. But I don't answer the phone. If I don't know who you are on the call ID, I don't answer. Well, anyways. I don't know who the hell that is. I got it. Bonanza is like, I don't know if it was named after a popular Western or not. But like I said, I remember going there. There's commercials for Bonanza on YouTube. I don't know when that went out of business. But it definitely went out of business. I can't remember if it got replaced by a Perkins or something like that. Now, the Perkins in Edinburgh was iconic. We used to go there all the time, usually after church. On Sundays, we went there and we got like the breakfast and stuff. And I'm so glad. I mean, like when I was talking about intimate places eat, like the Ruby Tuesdays used to be before they changed everything around. Perkins was pretty intimate. I'm glad I did a couple of videos there, and then they shut down. They had a big fire and they shut it down. And then I found that they were never going to open again. And then I think some companies are thinking about buying it, but it's been closed since 2015. I think 2014 is very close. When I did a couple of videos, I think it's very close for them closing. But the food was really good there. I mean, it was off and on. A few times, it used to always be good. And then a few times we went there, it was terrible. Well, anyways. But there's still some Perkins and Erie and stuff like that. I haven't been there since 2015 because I wanted to do. I was there with my mom shortly after Dad died, about a month after, and he had like the triple meat trio breakfast. I wanted to get that. Mom said, "Don't you even think about family here?" So that didn't work. I should have filmed anyways, but I listened to my mom and I didn't film it. So I that would have been a good video though, but it's just the way I don't like doing things with my mom. Well, anyways, Red Barn is next, and that was a popular fast food chain that I loved as a kid. They used to have these commercials with these puppets. And there's one of them on YouTube, at least one of them. They had like different characters, like a talking chicken leg, and one guy kind of looked like Ernie. And they had a couple of different meals. They had the Big Barney, which I think was a take on the Big Mac, and they had Barn Buster that might have been a take on a Whopper, but I can't remember. The Big Barney was like a Big Mac, and I usually fluctuate between getting either one of those, and I loved it there. And there was one in Meadville, and once again, I remember there was a big bridge we used to go to, and a big hill. I remember on the other side of the hill was Red Barn. It was a fond memory as a kid. I really liked it there. I loved the food. And then they had one in Edinburgh, and then they said in 8th grade, around 7th, 8th grade, it went out of business and became a Pizza Hut. And they said that my one social studies teacher was saying that it had something to do with mafia. They had mafia in Edinburgh. I don't know if that's true, but that's what he said. It was like a mafia thing that Red Barn went out of business, became a Pizza Hut, I guess. But he said, yeah, don't be surprised, they're Edinburgh mafia. I don't know how true that is. But that's what he told us in 8th grade. That's why Red Barn closed down and became a Pizza Hut. And that Pizza Hut's still around, by the way. But I love Red Barn. I really did. Next is York Steakhouse, which I'm guessing is a national chain at the time. It sure looked like a national chain, and it had a very dark, cozy environment. And like I said, I mentioned that before, Ruby Tuesdays. It went out of business and became Ruby Tuesdays. And my dad, okay, I mentioned that, okay. And my dad, I forgot. Write this down before I forget it. Howard Johnson's. I'm trying to remember everything so I don't forget anything, because I'm doing this all from memory. Anyways, my dad used to get honey glazed chicken, and then he said, I never got that. Yes, he did get that. I mean, I think it was a half chicken with potato and stuff. And once again, I got sirloin tips. I really liked it there. I enjoyed going there. It was off and on before even going there, or Ponderosa, the main steak places. I loved it there. I really enjoyed it. And sadly, that went out of business, but it was good. I mentioned that more in my Ruby Tuesdays videos. Next was Howard Johnson. They had a bunch of very iconic looking signs and stuff. I mean, buildings. And I always thought, when I saw Howard Johnson, I always saw Artie Johnson, the comedian from Laughing and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I think we always went by that. I was always curious what the food's like. I think we went in one to get drinks and stuff like that, and that was it. And that place went out a long time ago. I don't remember that well, but I think we went in there just for to get a pop or something. Next is Stuckey's. And Stuckey's is one of those roadside stops you see down in the highway. And we went by that, and I went by there numerous times. I remember in Fort Detrick, Maryland, friend Mark Dobson worked there. And the one thing in the Army is a lot of people didn't have vehicles. Only some people had vehicles because it was just tough. And it was a big hassle, too, moving that from post to post. You know what I mean? And only certain people had that. And then he said, when was the last time you went on leave? And I said, well, when was the last time you went home to see your parents? Because him and I lived in the pretty much same. He lived in Edinburgh, I lived in Cranesville. Close enough, And he said, when was the last time you've been home? And I said, well, and this was in August, I think, of 91. And I said, like December for when I was in Fort Bragg for Christmas and New Year's Eve and my birthday on leave from like December something to like January something. I came back. Said, hey, all right. You want to go home one time? I said, yeah. And this time we were working 12-hour shifts, which was fantastic. From mine was 7 at night till 7 in the morning. And we worked 4 days and we had 3 days off. I think it was like a Sunday night. And he said that what I plan on doing is, I'll take you down there, but you have to pay all the tolls, because there's a whole bunch of tolls there. And it might have totaled like $17-18 maybe. From Maryland all the way to PA. That's okay. And I said, well, I'll also do you one better. I'll treat you out for lunch before and the lunch after. So we went to Denny's, and then we drove down to, I got more stuff about Denny's coming a little later on. And then we drove down, and then I think on the way back we went to Stuckey's. I think we just stopped in there to get like some coffee or something like that, because he wanted something to wake him up some. And then I went in the bathroom. I found that the water was all brown. I washed my hand. The water was all brown. Oh my God! And I said, "Oh my God, we shouldn't drink that coffee. The water's brown." And the whole I assume the whole restaurant. I don't know if that's for the coffee too. And he said, if we get sick, we're going to sue these bastards. That's okay. And we never got sick, though. Yeah, I remember seeing him come back. I guess he worked for Time Warner. And then he was, I didn't recognize him because he gained a lot. I didn't recognize a lot of fellow classmates after 30-some odd years. I saw him in like mid-2000s or 2008, 2009. We had a problem with our cable. And he came to fix something, and then he said, we talked about Stuckey's, and he was saying, yeah, how nasty that place was, the brown water, and the pubic encrusted toilet seat. My dad, hey, you're getting a little raunchy there. I barely recognized him. He looked so different. But that's what happened. It was not a favorable experience. And then I was probably the first and last time I ever went to a Stuckey's. I was always curious about that place. I'm glad I never ate there. Next is... Mr. Donut. And Mr. Donut was a great chain in Edinburgh. And I remember going there all the time. That's the place where we usually got donuts. They had a Mooney's Bakery in Albion back in the old days when we had a house in Albion. We used to go there and that went out of business. And it became like a beauty salon. Now it's like it became the Sunnyside Diner. I remember my mother used to go to, it was like a beauty salon in the bakery, right? I remember waiting for my mom. She was at the beauty salon. I had to wait for her and watching Underdog on the TV a long time ago, reruns of Underdog. And go to the bakery, and then they had like Mighty Fine Donuts in Fairview that they don't have anymore. And I like that place too. But I mean, aside from that, we usually went to Mr. Donuts in Edinburgh. And my favorite donut of all time, it's like the yeast donut, the fluffy donut with the chocolate icing on top. And thankfully, they have those at Walmart, and they're pretty good too. But I love going to Mr. Donuts. We went there for the longest time, and I don't know when that went under, maybe in the early 90s, and it became Dairy Queen. I remember going to that Dairy Queen once because I wanted to try the flamethrower burger, and how long it took to get the burger was a sin. And I know my dad was pissed off, waiting so long. And I mean, going to the one in Girard, I mean, their service is a lot better there, but the service in Edinburgh was terrible. I went there once or maybe even twice. And that one, that was around for about, 10 years maybe. But they had other iconic ice cream place there. And most loyal people from Edinburgh went to the Dairy Olive, Dairy Supreme. I just want to try the flamethrower burger from Dairy Queen, And that went out of business, and then it became a Stone Cold Creamery / Tim Hortons, and that's still around and it's doing pretty good. But I did a couple of videos from there. I'm not too impressed with a lot of Tim Hortons stuff. So that was I missed Mr. Donut. Mr. Donut was dang awesome. I didn't know that was a national chain either, but it was, and it was competed with Dunkin' Donuts. I think Dunkin' Donuts bought them out, or they became Dunkin' Donuts or something like that, because I'd never been to a Dunkin' Donuts until I was in I will say Fairview, in Fort Bragg, and they used to have a Dunkin' Donuts there, going down Bragg Boulevard late at night. And they had all the fast food places, and it was open 24 hours going there. And usually I would have a coffee and like one or two of the chocolate donuts. And that's what I would do if every time I stopped at Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah, it's very good. So that was that. I was disappointed to see Mr. Donut go. And now I guess Mr. Donut now is very popular in Japan. They have many locations in there. So they're not completely out. They're just not in the States anymore, to my knowledge. Now, next is a very politically incorrectly named place called Sambo's. We went there. I guess it was named for like a split up between the two owners, Sambo's, and then they decided to, people associated it with the book Little Black Sambo. And then they incorporated that with the characters into the logo and the menu and stuff like that. And then it, like I said, Pink Slip, it bit them in the butt when it became a racially offensive term. But I did go to Sambo's once. When I talked to Joey's World Tour, he said there's still Sambo's in California. That's what he said. One main restaurant. But I remember the one time I went to Sambo's in the very early 80s. They used to have a big campaign and stuff like that. I remember being disappointed. The food wasn't that good. I remember getting a big, like a scoop of mashed potatoes with a big hunk of butter in it. Usually I would like that, but the butter wasn't even melted. And it was just, I don't know, it just kind of grossed me out as a kid. I said, well, I don't want to go there again. My dad said, it wasn't that good. And then Sambo's became Denny's. So, I mean, and I've been to Denny's a long time. I don't even know if we have one in Erie. I don't remember. But in Fort Detrick, Maryland, once again, we went there a lot. We went to Denny's a lot. I usually get the steak and eggs. And usually, anytime you have a piss test, and they told you about this, they didn't leave it like a surprise, saying, like we have a Larry in advance thing in Germany, and then you'd get up. You had to go, but you went to go pee first. And then it was like, then he said piss test, and then great. And then you had to wait around for a couple hours drinking Kool-Aid till you peed. And that happened to a few people because they didn't tell them, and they went to use the bathroom beforehand. But with this, we knew ahead of time. And we went to, usually the ritual would be, if you didn't have to work or not like that, stay up all night and go to a place called Fox, a bar, and drink a lot of beer. And then go to Denny's and have a very nice breakfast or whatever you want to have. And then you go in and piss test, and then, like, you be there for maybe 15 minutes and, wait in line, do what you have to do, and you're done. As long as you were clean, you didn't have any drugs in your system, because that's what it was, for drugs and stuff. I remember in Linderhof, Germany, this one guy was accused for drugs in the system, and then he had, there was this giant thing. I would have hated this. This giant, entranceway in Linderhof. It was huge. He was on a ladder, so I want to do it because I'm afraid of heights. He had to paint the whole thing. And then the first sergeant said, well, I don't like this color, paint it another color. And this went on for like 3 months. When he was on, what do you call it? Article 15. And it's usually like details on post, being restricted to post. And that was suck. Thankfully, I never had Article 15. Thankfully. And it was crazy. But that's what happened to him. You have to be careful in the Army. And last but not least, I want to talk about Burger Chef. I absolutely love Burger Chef, even more than Red Barn. I had such fond memories of Burger Chef. We had one in Edinburgh, which is now like a doctor's office, a chiropractor's office now. And we drive past there. I even said it used to be a Burger Chef. And going back there, they had like the Big Chef and the Super Chef, I think. And they had like a salad bar, which is also a condiments bar. So you can get your burger, and then you go to a condiments bar, put whatever you want on there, just like at Roy Rogers. Now, I've been a Roy Rogers since the Army and stuff like that. I assume they're still around. I know, I think Brandon from SAS did a video from on the road from Roy Rogers, I think. I assume they're still around, but we don't have any in our area anyways. I remember going there in Fort Detrick, Maryland, and also in the airport, in the Pittsburgh airport, going to Roy Rogers. But I liked it there. But Burger Chef had all these great things. It was an end bra, and they created the fun meal, like in that thing, the Pink Slip. That was the one that competed with McDonald's as having as having just about as many franchise locations. And they were the one that beat McDonald's like decades of punch with a fun meal, which became when McDonald's had a Happy Meal. I remember getting a fun meal as a kid, and they used to have like a monster themed thing with like a Dracula or Frankenstein. I love that stuff. And I thought their fun meals were fantastic. I love the setup for it. It was like open tray, and they had like different things. They put like the burger and the fries and drink and the fries in there. It was really cool. And then, or, as a little kid, and then, going there for, like, the regular stuff. Like the Super Chef and the Big Chef and stuff. And then every Friday, they had a fish fry there for, like, I don't know, $2.95, $3.95, and you eat all the fish you want. And my dad liked that, too, the all-you-can-eat fish fry. And there was a guy, the lady said there was this one guy from a college that had, like, he beat the regular, like, 15 or 16 pieces of fish. And then they said afterwards he threw it all up, but they was like trying to beat the rest. I don't know how many I had. Because my parents say, oh, you had enough, you can't have any. I don't know how many. I might have 4 or 5 pieces of fish, maybe. I don't remember. I don't remember what the record was, but that's all from memory. Yeah, I love Burger Chef. I was so disappointed to see it turn to a doctor's office. And I remember my dad going there a couple of times in the 90s. I think it was still around the time I went in the Army in 87. I don't know, it may have closed down in 90 or 91. And then it got bought out by Hardee's. So all the Burger Chefs are now Hardee's. So, and I haven't, like I said, but the ones I had closed down. And I've only been to Hardee's during the time I was in Fort Bragg and Bragg Boulevard. And they had a special, I remember the commercial for it, they had school math or whatever it was. I remember I had a commercial on tape. If I converted it, it'd be kind of cool. It was like they had a great deal of like a hamburger for $0.25, but you had to buy like 4 hamburgers for $1, 2 hamburgers for $2, 3 hamburgers for 4. 4 hamburgers for $1, 8 hamburgers for $2, 12 for $3, and he said 16 for $4, and they said that's the limit. I remember going there and buying $4 worth of hamburgers there, and then coming home, I had a big thing of Texas Pete hot sauce, and what I would do is just eat the hamburgers for a couple of days. I'd just douse it with hot sauce. They were delicious. My friend said, "Why are you doing dirty shit hamburgers?" They're $0.25 a piece, and they were good. And they're no different than a McDonald's hamburger. And I remember going back there, and I said, could I have like $4 worth of hamburger? And the guy said, we don't have that special anymore. I think he was lying because they didn't want to make that many. And that doesn't surprise me. The one cool thing about the Hardee's, though, if you had a military ID, you got 15% off. You show your military ID, and they give you 15% off. I wish more places on Bragg Boulevard was like that, but that's the only place that offered that deal. Other places would have been really smart to do that because there was a lot of soldier traffic on Bragg Boulevard, right outside the post. The PX and stuff like that, and they had that big stuff. They had a big food court there, but it was always so busy I never ate there. They developed a food court in Fort Bragg. I never played like Robin Hood and stuff, but it would have been really cool if I would have had did the whole YouTube thing back then, but YouTube didn't exist until 97. So I think that's it. Covered everything. I'm glad I did this video. I love Burger Chef. Red Bar. I loved all these places pretty much. I never went to Kenny Rogers Roasters, but I always wanted to. Well, I didn't like Stuckey's. Stuckey's sucked. Every place, and Sambo's sucked too, but Denny's was really good. Both Sambo's and Stuckey's sucked, but everything else was really good. So I hope you liked this video. My history of forgotten or the history of restaurant chains that went out of business. I might have done something about this before, but now this is my really complete personal history of these places. So I hope you like this video. It's running in almost 35 minutes, but I had to tell everything. I think I told everything, and I can always update on my channel if I missed anything. So until next time, bye please. Take care, my legion. I hope you like this video, everybody.